before we start on the passage itself, the passages themselves, what is a prophet? Since we're going to be focusing on major prophets, we need to know first what a prophet is.
Someone who can kind of speak for God, someone who God speaks to.
Okay.
God speaks through them.
Okay, and then what is the difference? Are there other people who, so there's prophets, are there people who have similar tasks? I have like maybe a priest, or how do the priests and prophets differ? Because they can both have some kind of closer relation to God than someone else might have, so.
Well, prophets are kind of used to worship God, or priests are used to worship God, whereas prophets are, God is speaking through them, and in the same way God speaks through the apostles.
So
that's what I was thinking.
So prophets are what God is saying, and then priests use those and the texts to help keep the people in line doing the right thing.
Yeah, like I think priests are kind of like in the temple generally, whereas prophets will go out and kind of, do that sort of thing.
Prophets are directly the messengers of God, telling them exactly what God says. He is usually, whenever a prophet is chosen, it is from either a very young age or just the age of, okay, here's your job. You're going to be the messenger of God and speaking for God your entire life. This isn't something you get out of and you just do one day and then you stop the next. This is your entire livelihood is being a prophet for the Lord. Speaking to the children of Israel. Go ahead, sorry.
It kind of seems like, I kind of think of it as like a mediator almost, like prophet going between, not always necessarily going between people, but like taking what God has said and bringing it to the people or the land or the nation.
And that flows pretty nicely into my next question. When are some times that we see prophets come around or be implanted?
What do you mean by implanted?
Implemented, thank you, not implanted.
Well, they're definitely around in the time of David, right? So we've already, like, Samuel was a prophet, right? So they've already been around.
Are there certain circumstances that may come about where prophets would be needed?
Yes. So repeatedly throughout the Old Testament, we see kind of the circle of sin, judgment. Prophet would come in.
There you go.
They would repent, and then they're back.
Judges.
Yep. And that is super important to keep in mind. This cycle of, repeat it again.
Sin, judgment, prophet, repentance.
Okay. Sin, judgment, prophets, repentance. Now, going back to what Dean said about how kind of unsettling it must have been to be a prophet and have that high level of accountability, I will say that verses 17 to 19 of chapter 1 are pretty reassuring in that sense, because it's saying, get yourself ready, stand up, do not be terrified by them. It is the Lord speaking to this young prophet and reassuring him that not only is he chosen by God for this task set before the concept of time, but the Lord is directly addressing him and saying what?
He's strengthening him, fortifying him, basically prepping him for war, kind of.
Exactly.
Is what I got from it.
Right, and that's fascinating to me. Before Shannon mentioned the kind of comparison, relationship, reflection between 7 and 8, where are some maybe specific examples? Does anyone have specific examples between kind of things that were listed in 7 that were then listed later in chapter 8?
Chapter 7, verse 9 says, "Do you steal, murder, commit adultery, swear falsely, burn incense to Baal, and follow other gods that you have not known?" Those are all 6 of the 10 commandments.
Mhm.
They're out of order, but they're
Right.
so they're violating commandments. And then in
And
chapter 8, they are sacrificing to idols and defiling holy places and
Right.
Having a real messy thing.
majorly the fact that God is calling out to them, even, and they are just not listening. They're constantly turning toward this evil.
Right.
Another connection is in chapter 7 that they're worshiping false gods. So that's another commandment that